As an experiment, I recently went into London's Mayfair and cold approached private equity and investment banking firms with my CV printed out and a little QR code on it, hoping to see if it would lead to a role or an internship or something like that. And while it didn't lead to anything directly then, it taught me some really interesting things about the state of the graduate job market and just how things are at the moment. And a bit of background as to why I did it. My name's Luke Stone, and in my first year of university, I got over 15 offers in competitive fields like investment banking, consulting, and venture capital. And so coming into second year, I thought, why not try it again? Let's just see how it is. But instead of sending emails, I thought I'd go in person. And it was a good experience. It was quite daunting to go in person and speak to these people, but overcoming that fear was good. And then actually speaking to them, it was a lot less scary than I bigged it up in my head to be. And I found that it was quite an enjoyable experience, pretty unique. And then in terms of that, when I was preparing for it, I was thinking, well, how do I want to approach it? Do I want to, do I want to call beforehand? Do I want to send a letter? I just thought, let's just show up unannounced, knock on the door, and see what happens. And to be honest, I only really got to speak with a couple people because I found out that these people often they have a shared reception. They don't typically engage much with just random people coming in the street, unsurprisingly. And so it didn't lead to that many conversations, but I did speak to one person and they thought the enthusiasm was amazing, and they said that it would take you far. And I think if you carry that energy into whatever you do, then that's a really great thing to have, to not be afraid of what people think about you, to not be afraid to step into unknown territory. And then thinking about that, I was then reflecting on it and how if you can be more than just a CV, if you can put a face to it, you can show up, shake their hand and be a real person, that's much more memorable. That when you maybe do then apply later on, they then recognise you, that, oh, that's the person that came in, and you can mention it in your cover letter or your application, however you want to do it. And then I was thinking about what that experience was like and how it was quite slow. It took about 45 minutes to reach 5 companies because walking between them, waiting in the waiting room, speaking with them, it does add up. And I didn't manage to reach all the firms that I wanted. I had a list of about 30 and I was way too optimistic thinking I could get through 30 in a couple hours, but I was not able to. And so thinking then, I was like, well, the human element is great. Being able to have a face and a voice and really see them is really powerful. And you can really get that going in person. You don't really get that with emails because while it does show enthusiasm and you're reaching out, being proactive, it's still not quite there. And so I was thinking, well, then let's do phone calls, because phone calls, it's quite scalable. You just get a list of phone numbers and you just ring them. You still have your voice and it's still enthusiastic and proactive. So I tried that for a bit. And it was pretty late in the season, so there wasn't a lot of traction with it, but I found that it did really enable you to get these conversations going and was pretty fun. So then I went back to my bread and butter with emails, and since getting 15 offers myself in my first year, I've been helping people do the exact same. And basically skipping the job portals because they're so flooded and there's so many applications, you just can't stand out. Instead, going direct to these boutique firms with with 1 to 100 employees, and they do real work. They're not on job portals, they're not household names, yet they're still doing real mandates, real clients, and real stuff, just as good to get experience at. And that's what I did last summer. I worked a few internships doing them, and then that taught me that they exist and that they're legit, and helping people get the same roles. I've done it for half a dozen people now, all getting roles, all currently in them, doing amazing work, just skipping the whole portals. And I'm really onto something here, I think, in terms of the job market is so bad. People aren't getting seen in the job portals, yet there's still all this opportunity out there of these boutique firms, these specialists, that you can just reach with an email, and it's way more democratized because there's no networking as much. It's not like, do you tick these certain boxes, do you answer these technical questions like an exam in the correct way? It's just who you are as a person. And if you can really let that come through, either through an email, through a phone call, or through an in-person interaction, it then leads on to an almost like an informal type interview, at which point you then talk about them, you let them talk about themselves a lot. So it's not about you trying to prove yourself, it's about making them enjoy the conversation so that you can then seem like someone that actually wants to work with, at which point they then naturally offer you a position because in the framing of your initial interaction with them, you said, I'd like to help out, I'd like to contribute from the get-go, so it's clear what the expectations are on both sides, meaning that it ultimately leads to a productive role that you're in, building real experience, getting paid, that you would never have seen if you'd just been applying on the portals endlessly, getting nowhere. And that's the core principle behind what I do, day in, day out, getting on calls with people, helping them, getting them into these roles, and it's been amazing. It's been amazing. And if that sounds remotely interesting to you, like that could help you based on where you are at the moment, there's a link down below. You can click it, you can watch an amazing video of me talking about the whole thing, and then if you're interested, you can book a call. But thanks for watching. It's been just great to talk about it, let it out, and I hope you have a great day.